Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we are going to talk about being still. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a party week. Wow. Speech. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week. Feeling like we're kicking it old school today. We are recording after our kids are in bed.
Kicking it.
Yeah, just kicking it old school. For all of those of you who sent me the When We Were Young concerts playlist, concert lineup, which is also kicking it old school. I've seen it, and I'm going to do my darndest to be there.
Yeah.
Whether Brooke's there or not, I don't care.
I hope to be there.
I'm going to dust off the old white belt, maybe the studded belt.
Wow. I don't feel like I wore anything super specific to that era.
You didn't go deep into the emo genre. You just listened to the emo music.
Correct.
Yeah, it was a lifestyle, babe.
And I probably took pictures with like emo, I was going to say, like emo poses.
Poser.
But I
had a lip ring and a front mullet.
Yeah, I know you did.
So
I didn't ever have anything studded. Or I don't know. What's like the girl version of that?
Yeah, the same.
Identical.
It's literally identical.
Same pair of jeans.
Same exact too tight t-shirt, same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Literally the same.
Literally the same. Wow.
Yeah, we're going to try to go. And if you don't know what we're talking about, there's this giant festival in Las Vegas called When We Were Young. And it's basically like every band we listened to when we were young.
And now.
And currently still, as my song of the week will tell. And they're all playing in Las Vegas together. So
top of the list, Avril Lavigne. Dashboard Confessional, Jimmy Eat World.
Jimmy Eat World is probably at the top of my list for
the starting line.
For seeing them live, because they're ones that I've never seen. I've seen a lot of the bands on that list live.
Same.
Jimmy Eat World is not one of them.
Same.
I was supposed to see Paramore. They'd be up there too, because I was supposed to see them at a Purple Door concert festival, but their bus broke down, and it was like kind of before they were even like a huge deal. So that would have been cool. Emo talk. So if you're listening to this, you will get early access to the Tea of the Month. So this is a new thing that we're doing. Tea of the Month. It will only be available for roughly 48 hours. And it's super limited in quantity. Like, we're pretty sure it will sell out. And so you as a podcast listener gets early access. Right now, if you go to the website, you'll see that it's like, hey, what does it say?
Oh, did you leave it?
I did.
Oh, yes. It says secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. And then something about like
unless their passwords.
The secret is this password, in which case they're amazing.
And so we will share the password. Do we do it now? I feel like if people only we're giving them 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I feel like some people might just listen for the password and then bail. I don't know.
Scandal.
That would be scandalous.
I hope they don't. I don't know. I have no ideas for the password. Do you already?
I don't. And that's why I'm like,
so let's keep talking. Eventually, when an idea pops for the password, we will then say that is the password. And you can go to the website. There's like a lock symbol at the top right corner. Tap on that, type the password, then you can get access, and you can click. Yep.
I go click.
And then you can buy the shirt or the sweatshirt or both.
I think I like the sweatshirt more.
Oh, wow. I like the shirt more.
I know.
So it says Be Still and Know, which is what we're going to talk about today. Cool cactus design. Very cool art, if I do say so myself.
Very cool art.
And yeah, we're just super excited to like do this like smaller run stuff at the beginning of the month is just a way of like, I don't know. I feel like for me, like the first two specifically, like, cause we've already got February down, March, is like, I feel like it's a way to express like what's currently
where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're very timely. Like I'm designing that shirt for me.
Right.
And as a reminder for us and for what you and I are learning and talking about. And so, so I just I'm super pumped about it. Obviously we want you guys to stay in your budget. One thing you will notice almost immediately is that we had to raise our prices, because we held off as long as we could.
Yeah.
So we did all we could as the elevator door shuts. I did all I could. But yeah, we thank you for your support. And if you are a podcast listener, we say this all the time, we don't do ads on the podcast because you guys buy shirts. And so if you need to put it in your budget as I'm supporting the people that, do the podcast, then do it that way. But thank you.
Thank you.
You're giving me eyes.
No, I'm not giving you any eyes. I'm looking straight into your eyes.
Yeah. It's startling. Startling me. So we'll come up with a password, and then you guys can, the podcast audience will have until the 1st to shop with the password, and then we'll make it live to everyone.
Yep.
And then February 1st is when we come back to Instagram, to social media. How are you feeling about that?
Feeling both hand is what I'm feeling. There's part of me that's oh gosh, what have we done? And then there's a part of me that's yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I feel clarity about some things. I feel inspired and more creative about other things.
Yeah.
So it's a both and scenario.
For me, I feel every year we've done this, it's become more and more clear what social media is to me. And this year I feel that clarity has even become I don't know if it's because of maturity or health emotionally that I'm able to pinpoint it more precisely. But I just feel I'm coming back with so much clarity and focus that I don't feel
as to what you use it for.
As to what I use it for.
Yeah.
Which is part of our job.
Right.
Because as far so I'm just feeling good about it. I'm excited to, share all the stuff that we do, you know, but
I took video of a sea turtle yesterday I was swimming with. And I haven't gotten to show anybody yet.
Yeah.
So
that's big news. Big turtle
ready.
News. And because this is the last podcast of the month, we always do our Mount Rushmore, Mount Rushmore of the end of the month. That was it. Wow. Mount Rushmore, the end of the month of January. You want to go first, or should I go first? Me, you, me.
You go.
For me, it's the yearly practice of taking the month off of social media. I need it. I probably need it more than Brooke. And yeah, so it's just it's such a, I'm not used to recording this late. I think I'm feeling kind of sleepy.
Yeah.
But I can get there. I can rally.
Pause and go put on our jammy jam. Is that too much?
It's too much. So the yearly practice of taking the month off social media, going to beach on Sabbath. So we've decided we are reestablishing our family rhythms, which actually is next week's episode. So we're going to talk about how when you get out of rhythm, which we did by having a baby, buying a house, moving, which is okay. People get out of rhythm all the time, and it'll happen to us again. How we kind of get back into it. Because sometimes once you get out of it, it can feel I remember the first time we wanted to establish family rhythms, 7-day rhythms, was how are we going to do this? And it still feels that way when we get out of rhythm. I still feel how are we ever going to get back into, but we've already started. We're kind of on our second week of doing that. And one of the main things we're doing is we're going to the beach on Sabbath on Saturday. And it has just been so life-giving and fun, and just, it's really been a highlight, and I continue to see it be a highlight for the rest of the year. Planning for the year, which has sort of happened and sort of not happened, but it's still a highlight. And I think it's a highlight because the way it has happened is I definitely feel a lot more my word of the year this year was focus. So I definitely feel I have a lot of focus this year. And then it didn't happen in some ways because we were all sick and we were on the mainland and we were all this kind of stuff. And I just feel peace about that as well. And so I just feel
the year has started off different, but I still feel like, man, I'm just going to be still and know that he is God.
Yeah.
Like I feel that. And I don't feel like I have spiraled because I don't have my year planned out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then number 4, seeing whales. It's whale season here on Maui. So the humpback whales are here and they jump out of the water and you can see them splash. And it's just the most incredible thing.
They're jumping. Their babies are jumping.
I just like, we were at the beach on Sabbath. They're jumping. This woman behind us is clapping, cheering.
Oh, I wanted this to be my strong feelings last week, and we didn't do it.
Okay, what is it?
My strong feelings are, I'm all in. I'm here for it. For people, specifically older people, clapping for things they're into.
Yeah.
Which was these people whale watching.
Yeah.
They then really clapped a lot when we pulled Daisy out of.
Oh, yeah.
She was taking a nap in the wagon. I don't think they knew she was in there.
And then we pulled her
And
out.
then they were like, a baby. And they started clapping.
Oh, I love it.
And I was like, I love you guys.
Yeah. So it's really, you're just like all in on older people being joyful.
Yes. Yes.
Because
it rarely happens.
yeah, unfortunately.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah. So yeah, those are my Mount Rushmore January.
Nice. Mine would be no social media, Sabbath beach days, doubling up, babe. Warm weather in January. I've never had warm weather in January
That's true.
ever
That's
in my
true.
life. That's true. I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, in my 35 years.
Wow.
And then getting time to work a little more.
Nice. Good
And
times.
feel like, hey,
And then obviously a huge part of the month for both of us was Sunny's birthday.
yes.
But that we talked about that last week. And we got a couple of songs of the week. I actually have a bunch. It's a good Friday for music. One of my favorite things, this is so dumb. One of my favorite things about living on Maui is that on Thursday night, I can see all the music that's coming out Friday because of the time zone change.
Right.
And I just like, I get such a joy out of that.
Yeah.
I go through my Apple Music and I click. Oh.
I go click, click, click.
So a couple of songs came out. One by Dashboard. Oh, he's got a new album coming out. Very excited for that. Another one by The Main, Taking Back Sunday, and this other girl. I can't read her name on the list. I can't forgot it. Charlotte something. And then one by the Coast. Whose should I play? I'm gonna guess.
I haven't heard the Coast. I've heard the other two.
Okay.
I don't care. Play which one you want.
Okay. I'm gonna play the one that I think you would have voted for. Okay.
Look, maybe I'll start. I mean, you can if you want to, but if you want, I can start, 'cause I've been thinking over every single thing I might have ever said and done. And there are just so many things I wish I hadn't said and done. And I feel heavy. Now that things are said and done, I just feel heavy. 'Cause I'm carrying around all of this with me. And if I never make a sound, it might just kill me. I've kept swallowing it down for such a long time.
Why didn't I have better headphones back then
Right. Yeah.
to listen to his music?
I know. It's so good.
Did they exist? They existed.
They existed.
I just
you were
didn't
just
have
poor. You're not ugly. You're just poor. So we had our friends Ian and Bianca over for dinner. Or we do this like late night, kids are in bed hang.
Yeah.
So we can just talk as adults.
It's delightful.
It's amazing. And they were somehow we got on the topic of high school, and I had mentioned that I had smoked weed in high school, and that I was among 3 people who'd never partaken.
Right.
And so all eyeballs open. And so I started telling stories of my rebellious youth that I had.
Yep.
Praise the Lord that he, redeems all things. And they're like, well, why'd you stop? Like, cause I was a bad kid, drank, smoked,
Yeah.
just, we'll call it that. And they said, why did you stop? And I wouldn't say that I had this like moment with the Lord until later in college.
Yeah.
But why I stopped drinking and smoking in high school, which sounds terrible, was because
emo music started. I started listening to emo music, and I was unpacking this as we were hanging out. That like,
Yeah, I was packing my mouth with sushi.
yes, and I was
And you were
unpacking
unpacking
some
your emotions.
emotions from high school, which was 20 years ago.
Oh, God. They really mean it when we were young. The name of this festival.
I know it's
nailed
gonna be
it.
like no one's gonna jump around or dance like
No,
we're all too old or
I'm
knees
too
hurt.
inflamed. I can't.
And so I was like, I think the reason I smoked and drank was one, like you just, peer pressure actually is a thing. But two, I think
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert, it is a thing. Don't fall for it. I
Did that get you?
it got me.
You started listening to music.
And I think it allowed me to feel my emotions, maybe not express them,
Yeah.
but feel them in a way that maybe those substances, maybe a way that I thought those substances helped me feel my emotions.
Right.
And so like for me, it wasn't like, I just stopped.
Yeah.
Like I had this other outlet. And so when I listen to this type of music, which I still do listen to today, it just, I don't know. It's like there's something about it. And now that I've learned about my personality and like the things I struggle with, which are like expressing emotions, talking about hard emotions, it makes so much sense that this genre of music came out
Hits home.
and hits home so deeply with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the stuff they sing about is so cheesy and like over the top and like, but there's something about it that just like speaks to me. And I feel like this album by Dashboard, his new album, because the first two songs, he's got like two songs that you can listen to.
Yeah, we played the other one.
The other one's on the thing. One of them is about like just like being happy and healthy. And then this one is about like carrying the weight of like harder emotions.
Yeah.
And I feel like as these guys have aged, and some of them don't make music anymore, but some of them have continued to make music, they have kind of gone the same journey that I've gone down. Where like I'm singing as a 16-year-old about a girl breaking my heart, but now I'm singing about like the emotional truth I feel of like carrying grief or fear or whatever it is, and I'm just like, man, it's powerful. So
It is.
didn't expect to go there.
Music's amazing.
It is. So speaking of, so what's your song of the week?
My song.
It's "Who Let the Dogs Out" by the Baja Men. It's called "London Song" by Matt Harkey.
Yes.
We forgot to put it
I
on the
forgot
notes.
to write it down. And I don't have my phone.
So, anything to say about it?
No, it was like suggested. And I went, ooh.
Ooh.
Click, 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 click,
Click, click,
on
click.
his name. Find more music.
Sweeter in the morning when I look at your face, I love you. Oh, my little daughter, you're the meaning of grace, I love you. And I'm like, ooh, take a little piece of my heart. Talking in your sleep, I wonder what you're dreaming up, dear. And if the world don't keep you warm, there's a blanket of stars above here. And I'm like, oh, take another little piece of my heart.
Good times.
Good
So,
times.
a bunch of songs going on the playlist.
Celebrate good times.
Come on. Linked in the show notes. I'm also going to add a worship song, "All the Poor and Powerless" by All Sons and Daughters, which I've been listening to while I clean up. They don't exist as a band anymore, but that song is so good. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to play it, but yeah, the songs of the week.
How was your week?
Oh man, my week was good. My week was good. Whoa,
See? You feel like you need to answer the question?
my week was good. It's like, have this,
Total
gosh,
revelation.
I get to live in this life and enjoy these things and
I
these
know.
people.
It's like when somebody's like, how are you? And you're like, good.
Oh.
Actually, I am good. Yeah.
Yeah, we, again, reestablishing the rhythms, which is, again, next week's episode. And so that just meant like we kind of knew what was coming. And if you are like, why are they talking about rhythms? What does that mean? We have a podcast called What I Learned in Integrated or something.
I feel like we talked about it again, though.
And then we have one that's like sharing our current rhythm and answering your questions. That's one where we maybe talk about it the most, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll
we're going to go into it next week as well. But yeah, so it just like felt like we were moving and grooving as a family.
Yeah.
We also established a couple of new things, which were super fun. Like when we have these like aha moments of like, this should be a thing that we do.
When we make direct eye contact and tilt our heads.
Yeah.
with
Like
a lot of intensity.
we should do this. And one of those was, going to see the sunset on Monday.
Yeah.
Like that is part of our weekly rhythm now.
Yeah.
And then June was like, we should call this Funset. And I was like, yes, we should. Never been more proud of you. And so that's like now a new Monday thing, Funset. We'll go to different beaches to watch it.
Yeah.
And then one night, Brooke and I, like, we've greatly decreased the amount of TV that we watch over the years. And now it's the lowest it's ever been. So like normally it's like we put the kids to bed, we drink our Ollie Pops in celebration that they're asleep. And we usually watch like one episode of The Office because we've been going through the super fan episodes on Peacock because there's all this new footage.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing. And like then we go to bed at like 8:45. It's amazing. And because like we were trying to read at night and I just can't. I don't know how people do it. The people that are like, oh, I start my day reading, I end my day reading. My brain at the end of the day
My eyes don't work. They don't.
They just don't.
Not by the end of the day.
Yeah. She's like, who are you? Is TJ, are you here?
I need my body pillow. Is this you?
So one night I was like, I don't really feel like watching The House. Let's click around. So then we started watching.
Because
I go click, click, click.
Yep.
We landed on this documentary on Netflix called 14 Peaks,
Yeah.
where, spoiler alert, this guy climbs 14 of the highest mountains in the world, the 14 highest. Incredible documentary.
Yeah.
Well worth
I mean,
watching.
Watch it. I
Yes.
assumed when it was called 14.
Yeah, I was like, he's not going to die at 12.
he's going to make it.
And so I was like, why don't we have a documentary night in the rhythm?
And my heart
Oh,
filled with such joy that we might
that she almost kissed me.
name it. Like, I love stuff like
Yeah.
this.
And
And
so
they're usually like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, oh, but it's so good.
it's so good. So I think it's going to be Tuesday. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like Monday is my full work day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to like do a documentary that night. It's
Right.
like I need some Ollie Pop in the office.
Yeah.
Ollie in the office. And then Saturday or Friday night after we do our Friday night family dinner, Friday night family movie. And then I was like, then we should watch a movie, like a new movie, non-kids movie. There's no animation.
Not Transylvania 4. Oh, gosh.
Gosh, that was rough. And so, so it's just like, and then Saturday we go to the beach. Saturday's our Sabbath. And I was like, what should Saturday be?
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's start a new show Saturday.
New show Saturday.
Always
knew that.
so yeah, like, well, we don't have a new show. So it was like, let's start one. And then every Saturday.
And if we want, we can abandon, we can be like, this is terrible.
Yep.
I hate it.
Yep.
So we'll start a new one next week.
Yep.
Or
If we like it, we'll say
love it.
episode 2 next week. And so just like, we're not binge watching anything.
right.
We're trying to like decrease
Yep.
the amount of content in our eyeballs.
Yep.
So yeah, the week was good. We also
Yeah. See? Y'all think I'm crazy when I say stuff like that. I'm not.
you have some notes here. Consistency is my word of the year.
Well, above that,
Okay.
I started working out this
yeah.
week.
Yeah, you did. You just said that on the internet.
I did. It's because I wrote it down first, so I had to say it now. I'm just kidding. I don't read our notes all the time. And my workout, I worked out 2.5 times.
Yep.
I was so sore. That was all I could do for the rest of the week.
But you did it.
Here's why I wanted to say that. I worked out this week because you cleaned the garage last Sunday.
Yeah.
And
And
that's-
Sunday is set up for
success
success Sunday.
Sunday.
Yep.
And it did. Like
did.
you making an area, a designated area where I could lift 4-pound weights was huge for me, babe.
Those gains are coming, Brooke.
They are. But consistency is a big deal. That's my word of the year.
Mm-hmm.
My sub word of the year that I wanted part of me wanted this to be my word, and then I was like, ugh, no, that's not broad enough. So it's like a sub layer.
Yeah.
Is health.
Nice.
Because, you do all these major transitions and have a baby. I kind of need to like refocus on, or not even refocus, focus on.
Yeah.
Can't say I ever truly have my health in like all the ways. So I was proud of myself for working out the little bit I did.
Yep.
And then another thing that I did this week is I went to get a massage.
Yeah.
Because if you remember from previous episodes,
Yeah. Beef jerky neck in
my
the
beef
house.
jerky neck and other parts of my body, truly. I think I'm just a beef jerky stick all over. It's back. It's been over a year since I've had a massage, and I was like, I need to do something about this.
You've got like nursing neck and back.
Yes. Like the tension is just,
Should
it's
beef
insane.
jerky neck be the password?
Beef jerky neck.
All one word.
All one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beef jerky neck is the password. So if you're
That's what you're here for. Abandon
26
everything.
minutes in, there's the password, beef jerky neck. Go see the new
You're
team.
welcome.
All right. Continue.
So the person I wanted to get a massage from is no longer taking clients. New
Yep.
clients.
So
So I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should take somebody out to get on the list
yeah.
or
Yeah.
so anyway,
So
we had to find somebody else. TJ gets a card from the gym he goes to.
which is like it's not a Planet Fitness. It's not like
No,
it's like a dirty gym.
it's like CrossFit. other
CrossFit.
stuff.
Yeah. But it's like in the best way. I mean that in the best way.
Yes,
Like I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
So you get a card, you bring it home, you say, let's get it, let's contact this person. And I said, oh, Yulia.
yeah. Yulia Bobrofi or something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
It's Ukrainian.
She's Ukrainian, come to find out. So I text her. She has a slot available. I go.
You also set one up for me.
I did. Like I did 2 days later.
Okay.
I come home
I'm like, babe, how was it? Like, you feel relaxed?
and I said, well, I don't know how to phrase this, but I feel like I was attacked.
And to me, I'm just like, oh, well, Brooke's that tight and that sore that like, I think
and I was sore. So not only am I already tight, I also worked out.
any massage would probably feel that way. Like,
Right.
I don't think any massage is going to feel very relaxing for the way her body feels right now.
And I kept saying, yeah, that's true. She did say I was insanely tight. She did tell me I work on a large man who's similar to your back. I was like, oh gosh, okay. Keep that inside.
Thanks, Jules.
Inside voice, Julia. But
Yeah.
I didn't know how to explain to you.
Yeah. You didn't do a great job.
Well, because I kept being like, oh, I don't know. I think I was kind
But
of
you were
in
also
shock.
like, I feel.
Also, I can turn my head.
I can turn my
It's kind
head.
of
I feel better. And you were like, she did things that no other masseuse has ever done to me.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, interesting.
Very interesting. I sort of was like I am now. I was at a loss for words on how to explain what had just happened to me.
And it's like kids distract us. So like, we never really like got to talk about it. It was just like, hey, you're back. How was it? Mom, wipe my butt. Like, boom.
Right.
And so
anyway,
so then I
a
go.
day and a half later,
I go.
it's TJ's turn.
And, Brooke's a massage chit chatter. You like to talk to the person.
Yeah, or if
I don't say anything.
I'll engage if they do.
I'm just like, so I get there. Yulia's like, lay
Did
down.
she say, tell me about your body?
Yeah, she goes, tell me your body. Tell me about your body. I was like, well, I'm really tight on my left side. Okay. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. Let's do this. So she comes in, and from the very first moment she
Yep.
touched me,
Yep.
I was like, this is different.
Yep.
I don't know if she escaped a Russian prison to get to Ukraine and if she had to fight a bear to escape that prison.
She won if she did.
She won, and the strength, she must have the strength of the bear within her.
She absorbed it.
Chips. Because it was attacked is an appropriate word.
Assaulted.
I just remember like we were about 10 minutes in. I was like, this is not fun or relaxing,
No.
and now,
It's like deep tissue body work.
which I guess I've never had a massage like that.
Apparently not.
And so
I guess I've only had therapeutic massages.
Right. When they're like, oh, you have a knot
Yeah,
here.
let me
I'll
just,
kind of work it out.
Yeah, it was not like that. Yulia had the grip of 1,000 men. And so she's rubbing my back and she's like, tell me if the pressure is too much. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, I don't know. Like you're the boss right now. Like
Right.
if you're going to rub that hard because it's that tight, I'm just going to let it happen.
Take it.
And I'm not relaxed. I'm like doing breath work to like,
I was breathing so deeply. I just kept being like, focus on your breathing. Don't black out.
and then at one point I opened my eyes, you're looking through the little hole and I can see her feet and she's got flip-flops on. And so I'm like, imagine if she had sneakers with
The traction she could get.
the force she could get. And then she's like, there was one point she was like digging into my, like the side of my butt.
Like your hip.
Yeah, on my left side, which is my tight side.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I'm going to black out. How is she pushing so hard? Well, I found out very quickly because it was her knee. And then she is on top of me with both of her knees on my butt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to black out. This is so painful. And then she's like, and I'm like, this is weird. This has never happened to me before. Maybe it's a Ukrainian thing. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
I will. Okay. Side note. She's like a super highly trained. Like, did you read her bio on the website?
No.
She's worked at like every major resort here.
Yeah.
Like
And
she's super legit.
Yeah. And I wasn't questioning it.
No,
I was
me
just
neither,
like,
but I was
feel
just
like
shocked.
if she kneed Brooke in the butt, Brooke would have told me that.
That's not where my tightness is.
And so like I'm in too much pain to like be laughing at this situation because like,
Yeah.
again, she knows where my knots are and stuff like that. And then she stands. And then my first thought is like, oh, that's why she's wearing flip-flops.
Because she's standing on you. Yep.
And, did the standing thing. And so then like, it was an hour.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm like, and I'm like, all right, Yulia, who is tighter, Brooke or I? She goes, you're much tighter. Brooke is inflamed. I was like, all right, well, see you later.
Yep.
And then I walked out and I was like, that was not what I expected at all. And then I get home, I shower because, you're all oily. And then I got out of the shower and I was like, I was coming out or something. And you're like, you look different.
You looked taller.
So
And you looked like I felt.
I cannot believe the difference it made in the way that I've slept the last 2 nights.
Yep.
And so like, while I need to emotionally prepare for Yulia next time, I'm going back.
Oh yeah.
I'm going back to Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, but
It was
I wish I had a picture of my face through the like circle thing when she stood on me.
Oh man.
I feel like I had Nick Miller eyes. What's happening?
Oh gosh.
So yeah, that was definitely like an unexpected part of the week. Okay, so if you've gone to the site and used the password beef jerky neck, you can see that there is a shirt there that says "Be still and know," and that is the topic of the day. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's what we feel like God has been bringing us, like teaching us about, and what we've been learning about in January, which already is just a natural rhythmic time for us for stillness. Excuse me. Because we take the month off of social media, which is one of the biggest parts of our work.
Yeah.
And it's the noisiest part of our work. Like, I don't feel the same way trying to do email as I do trying to like answer DMs and all that kind of stuff, like just being on social. And so we just thought like one, the design, I just felt like it was like what I needed. Like I need that reminder. Mm-hmm. And so we thought we would unpack it today, talk about some of the practices that we're doing. But Brooke actually wrote most of the notes, which is always very exciting. So I'm going to let you start it off.
Right as I have to burp. So sorry. Everybody. Yeah. So be still. Mostly talking about the be still part of the shirt. I'll get to the and no in a minute, but so I have a couple points I want to make. Point number 1, being that stillness is so incredibly hard.
Yes.
Like it's so hard. It's uncomfortable. It makes me feel nervous or like swirly, as I often say. It is super countercultural.
Yep.
I don't feel like it's, well, I mean, it's talked about in some ways in like you're doing yoga or you're like
Right.
some super mindful, like Zen person,
Right.
but not in like, okay, well, what if I have 3 children and this is my life and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Like, it's just not taught. It's
Yeah.
not. So it's very, very hard because I feel like there's not a lot of chatter about it.
People don't teach about it. I mean, I think people now are starting to teach about it
Right.
because our the pace of life is speeding up to an unbearable pace.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that now people are like, there's been quite a few books written recently about it. I mean, I think people have talked about it for forever.
Right.
Obviously it's in the Bible, but
But I don't feel like at church growing up,
no.
were they like talking about stillness, teaching what it looked like, how to practice it as a discipline.
No, and I think that's because, like, Cal Newport talks about this in his book Digital Minimalism, and I'm paraphrasing, where he talks about like when the technology of the TV or the radio was introduced, we made an agreement, like a social agreement with our family that like the radio is going in this room and we'll listen to it at this time. And then we made that same agreement with the TV. And then we made agreements whether a TV would go in your personal room. But it was always like, there was sort of like an unspoken rule that like the TV's just in this room. It's just for this time when we're sitting in these seats.
Yeah.
And then the cell phone came in, but it came in kind of through the back door where it's like, it's just a phone. And then it became a phone with apps. And then it became a phone with all your entertainment and all your things. And so we never made that agreement on when we were going to use it and what we were going to use it for. And so then all of a sudden we have an incredible amount of a noise in our pocket that is designed to distract us and to take our attention.
Yeah.
And we never like had time to take a few steps back and say, wait, what is this new technology? Do we really want it? Do we really need it?
What are we using it for?
And so I think that we were, and to me, it's like technology is incredible. Obviously, you're listening to a podcast. We live on an island. Like, that's amazing. But I just feel like he talks about it really well that like we never had like a moment in time to like pause and
Like the Amish do.
decide. Yeah.
They have their meetings and they are like, do we want this in our life or not?
Yeah.
Or in our culture or not? It's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think that's where stillness is now becoming a topic of conversation because of the amount of noise and the speed of which we're consuming it. And I think it's a good conversation to have. And I think it's like a needed practice for all people, but specifically for followers of Jesus because he shows it to us.
Yeah.
Jesus himself shows it to us and God commands it of us.
Yeah. Did you even read point number 2?
I did.
Okay. But I will say with still, like, I just want to acknowledge that it is hard
Oh, for sure.
because I don't want the rest of this to just feel like, oh,
Well, it's easy for you, you work for yourself or
Right.
like fill in the blank of like a reason why it could
Right.
be easier for Brooke and I.
It's also it's even harder, I think, for some personality types.
Yeah, I would say that. I would definitely say that it's harder for some personality types. I
funny.
don't know which ones, but it's definitely
Harder for
It
some
definitely could
people.
be harder for some people.
What's funny is I actually think it's mine and yours, the two personality types. The one type that, again, this is just my opinion, of people that I think it could be harder for is like anybody who's like kind of type A, who just enjoys getting things done. I like being productive.
Yep.
I like finding success in those things. I find satisfaction in like, it's why I don't want to always sit down and watch something. I'm like, I'd rather do something.
And then that's for the other people that it's going to be hard for. Those of us who always want to sit down.
Oh, I was going to say people who are always on the go.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be out of my house. I need to be busy.
Right.
I need to be like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
But I guess I could go for that one too.
Yeah, I feel like stillness is hard for, I honestly believe it's hard for everyone.
Yeah.
There are some people, like, I think there are some people who are naturally more contemplative.
Right.
And they might have some more easeability of doing it. But I think now in this modern age that we live in, where we have a supercomputer in our pocket, it is hard for everyone.
Yeah.
And because like, I think it's in that book, Get Your Life Back, where he talks about like, there used to be like, you used to like drive to someone's house to tell them information, you know, or like walk to their house or ride a horse to their house.
Right.
And so like, you knew like, oh, I couldn't go to his house when it was dark outside. That would be inappropriate. Like I had to go during a certain point of day, and there was like a, you know,
Yeah, again, like a
social
social
contract.
agreement.
And
Yeah.
now that has been eliminated with cell phones. I can text anyone at any time, and I almost expect / demand a response
Yeah.
from them. And it's like, it's totally just like obliterated those social contracts. And so it's hard to be still when you feel that pressure on you to reply to the 10 people that text you.
Immediately. Yep.
And to the point where you're like, if you wait 4 hours, you're like, oh, sorry, it took me so long to get back to you. And it's just like,
I almost said that to someone
Yeah.
the other day, and then I was like, I deleted my first
Yeah.
line because I was like, I don't need to apologize
No.
for my delayed response. It
Yeah.
was literally like 3 hours.
right. Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
Anyway, okay, you had said it is in the Bible and it is commanded of
Yes.
us. That is point number 2. So the verse that the shirt and sweatshirt were designed around was the be still and know I am God. I will be honored by every nation. I will be honored throughout the world. That's like the NIV or I don't know, some version like that. What I love is the Message, which does not actually say the words be still and know.
right.
But I really, really like the second part. It says, attention all, see the marvels of God. He plants flowers and trees all over the earth, bans war from pole to pole, breaks all the weapons across his knee. And then here's the part I love. Step out of the traffic, take a long, loving look at me, your high God, above politics, above everything. And that visual of
Yep.
stepping out of the traffic, which is what you're talking about, the speed and the noise
Yep.
in which things are flying by us
Yep.
in front of our eyes,
Yep.
in our ears, like everything from advertisements to social media feeds to just information,
Yep.
news, politics.
And the option to find out news, like find out anything at any time. That
Yeah.
power of like,
Yeah.
you know, oh, who's going to the Super Bowl? I mean, I watched the games today, but who went to the Super Bowl in 1972?
Right.
Let me find that out. Like, just
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overwhelming. And so,
Like in that book, Get Your Life Back. Sorry, I interrupted.
no, it's okay.
John Eldridge talks about how the average American, or the average person, the average Westerner,
Yeah.
absorbs enough information and content, watches, consumes, whatever, to crash a laptop a week.
Yep.
And so, like, for me, the visual, how many weeks are in a year?
52.
52. The visual of 52 laptops. For
Not working laptops, crashed laptops.
crap. For some reason, I picture like an old, like 2007
Like
Dell.
a really thick one.
Yeah, like a thick, you know, just stacked up in my room.
Yep.
Next to my bed.
Yep.
Next to our bed. We sleep in the same bed. It's amazing. And then just like, oh, next year that'll be the same.
Yeah.
And just like
5 years of that, 10 years of that.
the visual, like to have like a visual representation of the digital clutter in my mind is like,
Yikes.
whoa, yikes spikes.
I don't think they're recyclable. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do with them? Yeah. So stillness it's talked about even more in the Bible.
Yeah.
I didn't want to write down every single verse, but I say that as point number 2.
But if you
because
do search verses about being still,
our blog post
our blog
comes up
post
first.
comes up first.
I was like, wow, this is really helpful information, Brooke. Way to go. Future Brooke and past Brooke, thank you. Yeah, and so because it is in the Bible and because it is something that's commanded of us, it's something that we should pursue and we should work it into our daily lives as a spiritual discipline and practice,
Yep.
which is point number 3, that stillness is and should be a spiritual discipline,
Right.
along with other ones. And I actually think several of them are almost always connected and kind of go hand in hand, which would be like silence, solitude, and Sabbath.
Yep.
I definitely think that stillness and silence, or stillness and solitude, or all three, are
Even they're like all
right. But like, I don't need to Sabbath by myself all the time.
right.
And my Sabbath is not necessarily still.
Right.
But
there should probably be stillness within your
moments.
Sabbath.
Yeah. So, I think like spiritual disciplines like stillness they sound simple, but they're not easy. They're
Right.
not simplistic. It's
Yeah.
just like, and that's the amazingness of so much of how Jesus teaches, is that he good with words. Like, you know what I mean?
Are you saying see the world or see world?
It's so direct and it's so clear.
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple. And then you're like, whoosh, okay,
It's going to take a lifetime to learn.
how do I do that? But yeah, so it's like, it's a way to practice following Jesus in your everyday life. It's a way to walk in love, if you will.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Shop.walkinlove.com. Password beef jerky neck. Yeah, like I think, Brooke and I just finished this book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Yep.
And he talks about stillness because he talks about silence,
Solitude. And Sabbath.
solitude, and Sabbath.
I actually thought there was a chapter on stillness.
Because so much of it
and
is.
then I was like, wait, that's not a chapter.
And
name
that
at all.
book is so excellent. I do have some qualms with it, but I'm not going to get into them.
Yeah.
It's an excellent book.
Yeah.
Hear me when I say it's an excellent book.
It was a little too melancholy for you.
Yeah, that was my one complaint. Like, I think John Mark Comer, who I've met,
I know we had Thanksgiving with
great
his family.
I think that he is naturally more melancholy and like chill, and he loves reading. And like,
Yeah.
to me, my only complaint with the book, and again, it's not even really a complaint, was like, because like Bob Goff is writing a book called Undistracted that comes out soon.
Which is funny because I said to you, well, you just need Bob Goff's version of this
And I'm
book.
like, yeah, that's
and then
right.
like a week later, it was like,
And so like, for me, it was like, oh, these are all great practices. But like, to me, a lot of it was like, well, so this is so I could read more. And I'm like, well, I can barely read at night.
my eyes don't work.
But that book was like so eye-opening in terms of just like, and we've been down this road of like
Yeah.
taking Sabbath, and like, it was again, just like another great refresher on like, yes, this is the way that we want to live. Yes, this is, we want how our lives to be. Yes, this is what we want to teach our kids, because these things matter. And these things are the way of Jesus. They are counter to our culture. And if our churches and our Bible studies and our small groups and everything are just as fast and sped up and nonstop as the news cycle, as the COVID cycle, as the celebrity cycle or whatever, how are we supposed to say, yeah, following Jesus is different?
Yeah.
And so it takes just the salvation of Jesus, which is obviously super important, and it turns it into the practice of following Jesus, or, as John Mark says, apprenticing under Jesus, which I think he actually stole from someone.
Right.
But like,
Yeah. Really living your life as though Jesus is a literal teacher that you follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for us, like, I don't want to step on your toes.
That's okay. I'll jump in if you get to it.
Let's go to point 4, because I think I think I will be more helpful on the practicality side of
Sure.
it.
So stillness and silence and solitude, really. Sorry. I think they really help you with perspective.
Yes.
You and I talk about it a lot, and we've talked about it a lot on here, that like we desire to live very proactive lives, not reactive.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in like reactive parenting or reactive discussion mode or
Yes.
any of that, because I'm not my best self when I'm there. I'm not in the best place when I'm there. And so practicing stillness is a way to gain perspective,
Yeah.
keep your perspective.
Yep.
It's so, well, any of those. It's so when
Yeah. On days where
both of us.
yeah, I know. Maybe it's late at night. We're not used to talking this late. On days when I have stillness, quiet time, solitude in the morning, I am more present with the girls. I am more helpful to Brooke. I'm more focused at work.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much benefit from it. And on days that I don't get it, it's not that I turn into this like rage monster, wild animal, but I can
Right.
feel the fringes of my patience being thin.
Yeah.
I can feel the edges of my day feeling tense. I can feel that, hey, I might need another trip for Yulia to break dance on my back. And so like, it's just like the value that it adds to me as with perspective or just being present or just being a nicer human being.
Well, yeah.
It is incredible.
Yeah, that connects to my final point, which is it helps you stay connected to yourself. You know, when stillness as a spiritual discipline is certainly, I would say it's primarily to connect with God and to
Yep.
sit in silence and maybe prayer.
Yep.
But I don't think, and this is what we talked about a couple weeks ago in my strong feelings, that like understanding your emotions and being able to talk about them is so huge. And it's huge in your walk with Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, and so when I have time to be still, and typically
Make
totally
time.
when I make time, yes. Sorry, thank you. To stay connected to myself, like what I start to process, what I feel opening up and I allow myself to process is my emotions.
Yeah.
And a friend's therapist recently told her to actually say out loud. So like for me, I would be sitting there. So maybe it would be silent because I might start
Right.
talking to myself like a crazy person. Like, what does Brooke feel?
What do you want, Brooke?
What does Brooke want?
Yeah.
And it's when I say that, I often have an answer. Sometimes my answer is actually, I don't know. And then
Yeah.
I need to dig a little deeper. But I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to get to that point like in the kitchen with music playing, with making dinner, with girls swirling
Yeah.
around me, like trying to get, ready to feed a baby. Like it's not going to happen.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And like you're talking about, like it's about being present with God. And, to me, like if you need another visual, emotions are the language that your heart speaks.
Yeah.
Like, and we often in life learn how to guard our emotions. Like we put walls around our heart and we guard it over and over and over again. And so I think what stillness does, or silence or solitude or Sabbath, is it allows for some of those walls to crumble. Like we have to be honest and authentic with ourselves in these still moments. Like,
Yeah.
like eventually the like jingle that's playing in your head or the song that's in your head will eventually go away and you will need to be real. And I think what the Lord does in those moments is allows you to really express or feel your actual feelings and not the guarded part of your heart. Like just like you'll feel those real feelings and it'll help you just like better understand who you are and your place in this world and what you need to do and so on.
Yeah.
And so like all things we talk about here, what does it look like?
Yep.
And again, I think one of the things to know is like what it might look like for Brooke and I might be different. Like this is not
This is not an exhaustive list.
No, and honestly, like this is we are still learning this and we'll probably continue to learn this until we die.
Different ways.
Until the ultimate stillness of death.
Oh gosh.
Sweet, sweet death.
Yulia.
Or one day closer.
One day closer to death. Good night, babe. Love you.
Every now and then Brooke does that before we go to bed and it's like, okay. Weird.
Too dark for you?
Wow, I got dark real quick. Okay, and so do you want to list some of the ways that you do it and then I'll list some of the ways I do it, or do you want to just like go back and forth? How do you want to do this?
I'll go first. So why is that smile for?
No, I'm just smiling at you. Smiling's my favorite.
So the most obvious way to be still is to sit somewhere and literally do nothing,
Yeah.
which is what sounds so terrible. Because why would I do that?
Yeah.
That's a waste of my time. That is my brain starts going through all the reasons that is not a good idea.
Yep.
But that is the best way to do it. And that is the best way to start.
Yep.
Just start.
Yeah.
Sit down, set a timer if you need to,
Yeah.
and
try not to think about your to-do list or your goals or your,
Right.
try to just like be present with Jesus.
Yep.
And just like a phrase that is in that book, Get Your Life Back, is I give everyone and everything to Jesus.
Yep.
And he just says that over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's like, and if he finds himself thinking about like, maybe he's thinking about an email that he sent, he'll say, I give everyone and everything to Jesus. I give that email to Jesus. Like he'll just try to get his head into a space where like he is just being present with the Lord. I recommend doing this outside. Like I think that there is something magical. Obviously, if you live in the north right now, probably not ideal.
Right.
But I don't know. Like,
well, that was one of my other points is to find somewhere that you do this over and over.
yeah.
Like pick a spot because going back to it, the repeated practice will be very helpful.
Yeah.
And it's actually like, it's real, like it's brain science,
Nice.
classic brain science.
Classic brain science.
You will settle into you will settle into your stillness and all that stuff much quicker. Also, this is a whole separate thing I want to do a whole separate episode on because I keep telling you I'm working on an episode. But I often sit out front on our porch for like when I'm doing this stillness stuff. If I picture Jesus literally sitting next to me, I don't feel weird not saying anything. I can sit with a close friend and be totally quiet.
That'll preach.
And not be like, oh gosh, what should I say? What should I talk about? What should I think about? Should I ask a question? Like, I can sit there comfortably in that silence.
Yeah, like sometimes your sweetest moment with your children is when they're just like sitting with you.
Yeah. So that helps me.
Whew.
I have a whole episode coming about
That's gonna mess with me in a good way.
Good.
But yeah, outside is usually ideal. I think that there's something, obviously God created a garden, for his children.
Yeah.
And I think there's something magical that happens outside.
Right.
I think I haven't got a friend recommended this book to me, this Get Your Life Back. And I haven't gotten to this stat, but apparently in this book, he talks about how the average person right now spends 97% of their life indoors, that almost makes me want to vomit. And I'm not like a super, like, I'm not a camper. Like, I'm not like an outdoorsy. I wouldn't describe myself as outdoorsy.
Right.
But
I mean, I just swam with a sea turtle yesterday.
So yeah, I mean, times are changing. But like, I just like that to me is like, it sounds horrible. Like, it sounds like it just doesn't sound good.
Why? Why would we do that?
And so for me, like the practice of stillness and silence and solitude, like, Jesus went away. He was mostly out, like he was outside. He didn't go away to like check into, Jerusalem's new Airbnb. Like he went to just be alone outside.
Yeah.
And so
unless it was like what would they have called it then? Like not a sanctuary or cathedral, but like
temple.
But
so for me, like that, being outside is such a huge part of it. And if you live in somewhere cold, like just bundle up,
what's that quote? There's no bad weather, just bad attire or bad clothing.
Yeah.
Like,
and so, but yeah, for me, like it's always a challenge to shut my brain off, to just like stop thinking about all the things I wanted to do, or I should have done, or like a conversation that could have gone differently. And so for me, the mantra or the phrases to say over and over again, are super helpful for me to get to that place. Picturing Jesus right next to me, just like sitting next to a good friend and enjoying the like quietness of the morning and the birds chirping, like that sounds that's just rocking my world right now. You rock my world.
Awesome.
So
yeah, but yeah, like having a mantra or what they call borrowed prayers. Emily P. Freeman from The Next Right Thing, she has a whole podcast episode. I don't think it's called borrowed prayers, so you might have to do some Googling to figure out which one it is, but about how like helpful it can be to borrow other people's words in our spiritual formation and our practices and our speaking and our praying, like that don't feel like you have to come up with this amazing, unique, like never before been said prayer. Yeah, for me lately, the practice has been
it actually for me starts the night before. Like I need to go to bed earlier because I need to do this before my kids are awake. Right. And for whatever reason, the Lord has blessed us with early risers. Mm-hmm. And so like for me, I have to get up at 5 a.m. to do this. Right. Because if I don't, my kids will be my alarm clock. Right. And so and again, this is allowing Jesus, becoming an apprentice of Jesus to transform our lives. So like me, I could watch TV shows all day, all night, forever and ever. I love them so much. So now we watch one 32-minute episode a night, and that's it, except on Sabbath. And so like it's starting the night before, because that means I can get up earlier. That means I can practice this spiritual discipline. And then that means that I'm set up to be more present and kind the rest of the day. And so like, I think a lot of times we're just like, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and I'm not going to do anything else to prepare for that. It's just going to happen. Yeah. Waking up is literally the worst thing. It's just so hard. I don't understand how people do it. Yeah. And so like, and then another thing that I had to do was I had to buy an alarm clock because I didn't want my day to start with my phone. Yep. And so I bought an actual alarm clock called Lofty. It's like kind of a hipster one. Mm-hmm. And that's just another way to again, set myself up to be an apprentice of Jesus in the modern day. Yeah. And it's not easy for me. Like I am not one, Brooke will drive somewhere with no music playing in her car like a crazy person. That is so hard for me. Yeah. And so for me, this practice is challenging, but like, it's not like you just get to pick and choose how you follow Jesus. I mean, that's kind of what culture tells you right now. Like, just do whatever you want. And, if you slap Jesus on part of it, like you're a Christian or, and it's just like, ugh, it seems dicey. Yeah. It seems like we're going the wrong way on that. Right. And so for me, like this is just going to be a harder practice for me. But once I flex those muscles enough and once, it'll hopefully be easier. Yeah. And it is a practice. Yeah. And so that's been it for me is like, I need to realize and I need to remind myself it starts the day before. Yeah. And it starts by going to bed earlier and it starts by, there's a lot of things that it starts with, but the day before is a big one for me. Back to the practicing your stillness in the same area, if possible over and over. I do think that that's also helpful, because if you have kids, like your kids are watching you, and I think it's helpful for them to know what you're doing and to maybe leave you alone for a hot minute. Like, especially if your kids are a little bit older, if they see me out on the couch in the morning or in the afternoon, like when Daisy's taking her nap, hopefully the girls know what I'm doing. Yeah. And don't feel the need to come out and be like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting out here? Like that, I do think that they leave us alone a little more when we're out there. Yep. And I just think that that's helpful. Yeah. Setting kids' expectations and understanding like what we're doing and why. And a couple of times it's important to us. Because Sunny usually wakes up first. She has come out with all of her blankets and has just laid on the couch while I sit there and she doesn't really talk to me. Right. And that has been really cool. And I've also just made this rule that no matter if I'm halfway through a sentence or I'm writing in a journal and my thought is not complete, if the kids come out and they're ready to be you are there. Well, because you're the one awake. That's their first interaction of the day. To me, the rule is you're done. I'm done. And so you were doing with whatever I'm doing. And so if the Lord gives me an hour in the morning, I'll take that hour. If Sunny doesn't wake for an hour and a half, I'll take that hour and a half. Yeah. But if it's 15 minutes and for whatever reason she got up early, then I'm done. And I think that's been helpful to me to not have this arbitrary time frame attached to it. Right. Because I can get in my head about stuff like that. Oh, if I don't do 30 minutes a day or an hour a day with the Lord, I'm a failure or, and it's just if I can just give him just one look, that will be enough. And so sometimes my look is short because sometimes I overslept. Sometimes I didn't want to get up, and so I do try to give myself grace because this is a practice and it's not I'm not by any means an expert at it. Yeah. But I just want to be better at it and I want to keep trying to be better at it. But then I also want to have a totally realistic expectation of just like my kids are little and sweet and ready to roll the second their feet hit the floor.
Yeah.
And I want to be ready to roll with them. So, and I want them later in life to remember no matter what my dad was doing in the morning, when I came out, he was like ready to be dad,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's important to me.
Yeah. That's really good. And when I say like, just get started, set a timer, I'm not talking about like a 30-minute timer.
Right.
I'm talking about literal minutes.
Yeah.
Set a timer for 1 minute and don't move or do anything.
Yeah.
Set a timer for 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
just because it's going to feel agonizing if you've never practiced it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by set a timer, not some like super long, arbitrary,
Yeah.
you know.
And like for me,
time frame.
sometimes my stillness is like I journal. I just write down my thoughts. I write down my feelings. I write down my highlights. And sometimes it's like I just sit and we have this great couch on our front porch. I just sit there and there's a chicken that roosts up in this tree. And so I sometimes watch her because I think she's trying to figure out how to come down every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you do this every day. Or I
should know by
just or I just listen to the birds, and then like I know when my neighbor across the street, their garage is going to open and he's going to leave for work.
Yeah.
And like there's elements of that like ritual that I'm just like is so
It's very grounding.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's so good. Like when we first started reading that book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and he's talking about all this, he talks about solitude as a practice. And that's different because
Yes.
like he's talking about like what Jesus did when he like got away, went away. And
Yes.
like that is important. And I think though that is like a more serious, more rhythmic thing of like whether you do it every week or do it once a month.
I mean, you got to
or,
plan for it.
You know, it's
especially
like,
if you've got a,
and so
Yeah.
for what we're talking about, it's like just like little moments, you know, usually quiet time in the morning of just like, just being still and knowing he is God, like understanding that like, as much as we want to control our lives and everything around us and have opinions on all of it and know everything and have every notification and all this kind of stuff, we can't because we are not God. And so like, we just need to sit in his presence and allow him to fill us with his spirit so that we can be beacons of life on an earth that is loud and almost violent with its loudness and almost just like a aggressive and abrasive.
yeah.
Because if we can do that, the lives of those around us will be transformed by the calmness and the
Grace.
grace that we bring into every situation.
Yeah.
And I wish that like as Christians, you would be like, oh, those people, like those are followers of Jesus. They came into this room that was chaotic and they didn't attack, like they didn't bring that, they brought that, they didn't bring that spirit with them. They actually, they brought the anxiety down.
Well, yeah, it's like that parenting quote. It's like when your kid is overwhelmed, anxious, crying, screaming, whatever.
Does that happen?
Yeah, Mark has never done that,
Yeah,
but you know,
obviously.
come that day.
Yeah.
You know, it says that like we are supposed to share our calm, not join their chaos.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that from a Jesus follower perspective.
Yeah. And I think that that's what the practice of being still has really helped me with is like, I think it's made me a calmer person. And it's also just like challenged me. It's super challenging to me to be like, I don't need all this extra information. Like I just don't need it
Yeah.
to follow Jesus.
Right.
And so to turn off the tap of information is very challenging to me. But at every January when it rolls around and we really do it kind of hardcore, I'm like, man, it's so worth it because it makes this practice easier. January is my calmest month. It is
Yeah.
the month that this practice becomes the easiest. And that just
Yeah.
like, and
Says something.
says something. Yeah. And so I don't know. I feel like we could talk about this for a long time.
Right.
You know, our hope both for the shirt and both for the design and the conversation is that like, you just feel encouraged or maybe just like a little bit challenged, to try it or to continue to try it. Or if you got off, like if you were doing great at like just, you know, spending quiet time with the Lord, and then you got off track because of Christmas or whatever, like that you're just like, oh yeah, that was worth it. I'm going to get back into that practice.
Yeah.
Like that's all we're hoping to do is like, we're not, you know, I don't know. That's just,
Do you feel like we were preachy?
No, I just want to make sure that people know, like, cause I don't know, people can just read into things. And so I just want you to know that you listen to this, like we are just encouraging you maybe with
We're also talking to ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
Very much like, keep doing this.
Keep doing it. It
This
is worth
good.
it. Listen
Your body
to yourself.
And soul need this.
Go subscribe to this podcast.
Right.
And then obviously like we sell shirts. So if you feel like you need the design to remind yourself of this, if this needs to be your morning stillness shirt, so be it. That would be amazing. So
Maybe
it's available.
buy a few so you can wash them in
Yeah,
between.
exactly. Yeah.
If you're wearing it every morning.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just kind of our encouragement for you today. The shirt is available. The shirt and sweatshirt are available for 48 hours. So they're actually available for 72 because you guys get the early day,
Right.
and then they're available 2 days. But I think they'll sell out before that time is over. Stay within your budget, obviously. It's always what we encourage.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
But yeah, just encourage you to start this week after you listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, one other thing that I just see on the notes that comes from Get Your Life Back by John Eldredge is the 1 minute pause. And so this is something that we've also been doing lately where it's like he talks about taking a 1 minute pause of just like before he like transitions and like goes to his email, or like what I've been doing is I've been taking it before I like have to go into a store. Like I just sit in the car and I'm just going to be still and silent for 1 minute, and then I'm going to go into the store.
And that's where I'm saying set a timer.
Yeah.
Because a minute is a lot.
And I think he actually has an app for it.
Yes, if you wanted it. Yeah.
And so like, I think that has been super helpful. Just like, and I haven't even tinkered with that very long.
Right.
I've read that chapter like last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's just like a ton of ways to do it.
Well, I like his example because I did it tonight. Like when you get home from somewhere, like I was running errands, but you could be coming home from a job or work or whatever, to sit in your car alone in silence and stillness for 1 minute before you go in and are with your family for the rest of the night, or, you know, go into a meeting for the rest of the day. Like
just like setting an intention. And I think when
so you're being proactive to take a 1 minute pause versus bolting out of the car, flying into your house or into your job or whatever.
I'm a fast car exiter.
Yeah, you are.
Very much so. That's the challenge for me.
It's a very real thing for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so like, again, just a bunch of ways to hopefully encourage and inspire you to try this and practice this and keep going. We'll link some of the books that we've talked about in the show notes. We'll also link the shop because the shop is live for this thing that we're trying called Tea of the Month. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Last thing.
What?
If you share about the podcast on Instagram, on your story, and tag us, we're getting back into the rhythm of giving you something for free.
Right.
One person, not everybody.
Right.
But we'll pick one person who shares about the podcast and we will send you something.
Nice.
So you can do that as well.
I like it.
I like it.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making this part of your week. Okay, I love you. Bye.